At 02:30 hours on October 25, 1944, Lieutenant Commander Richard O'Kane stood on the bridge of the USS Tang, deep in the Taiwan Strait. The ocean around him was black and calm, the night air thick with salt and tension. He watched the glowing wake of his final torpedo, his 24th, curve through the water. It had been fired only 20 seconds ago, aimed squarely at a Japanese transport dead ahead. But something was wrong. The wake was turning. Slowly at first, then sharply. The torpedo was circling back. O'Kane realized with dawning horror that it was coming for Tang. He had 15 seconds to react, maybe 20. "Hard right rudder! Emergency flank speed!" he shouted. The submarine's engines roared, churning the black water as the boat tried to outrun its own weapon. But Tang was already at attack speed. Acceleration came too slow. Through his binoculars, O'Kane saw the glowing trail closing in. 10 seconds, then 5. There was nothing more to do. In that moment, the most successful submarine in the U.S. Navy's history was about to be destroyed by her own torpedo, Richard Hetherington. O'Kane was 33 years old, born in Dover, New Hampshire in 1911. A Naval Academy graduate, class of 1934, he started his career aboard surface ships before discovering his true calling in submarines. By instinct and intellect, he understood these silent killers of the deep, their movement, their rhythm, the art of striking unseen. His early years aboard the USS Argonaut honed his skills, but it was his time aboard the Wahoo under Commander Dudley "Mush" Morton that defined him. Morton was bold, almost reckless, a man who believed submarines were not defensive tools, but offensive weapons designed to destroy the enemy at all cost. Before Wahoo's third patrol, Morton told his crew, "Wahoo is expendable. Our mission is to sink ships. If anyone doesn't want to go, he can leave now." No one did. Morton then made a revolutionary decision. He would not use the periscope during attacks. O'Kane would. "You'll be my eyes," he said, "and I'll be the brain. This way, I'll never get scared." The partnership that followed became legendary. Together, Morton and O'Kane rewrote submarine warfare. On that first patrol, they slipped into Wewak Harbor, enemy territory, and sank the destroyer Harusami, the first submarine to ever do so inside a defended harbor. 2 days later, they decimated a Japanese convoy, firing relentlessly as O'Kane coolly called ranges and bearings. When Japanese soldiers clung to rafts after their transports sank, Morton, believing they'd return to kill Americans, ordered the deck guns to open fire. It was brutal, controversial, and unforgettable. By the time Wahoo returned, 8 enemy ships were gone. The pair became legends. But a year later, Morton and Wahoo disappeared in the Sea of Japan, sunk with all hands. O'Kane, who'd been reassigned to oversee the new USS Tang, never forgot his mentor, or his lessons. He vowed to honor Morton's spirit and outdo his record. When Tang was commissioned in October 1943, O'Kane molded her into a perfect war machine. He demanded relentless drills, rapid periscope recognition, instant range estimates, perfect coordination. He trained his officers to identify ship classes by silhouette in seconds and to fight not by procedure, but by instinct. Above all, he trusted his crew completely. Tang's first patrol in January 1944 tested everything. Off the Caroline Islands, O'Kane's crew attacked with precision and speed, sinking 5 ships and returning to Pearl Harbor as heroes. The second patrol turned from combat to courage. Tang rescued 22 downed American pilots under fire from Japanese shore guns. With barely enough food or space aboard, O'Kane halved the crew's rations and slept on the deck himself until all the men were safe. Admiral Halsey awarded the entire crew the Navy Air Medal, an honor submariners would laugh about for years. Then came Tang's third patrol, her most famous. In the dangerous waters of the Yellow and East China Seas, O'Kane charged headlong into a convoy of 6 ships guarded by 16 escorts. At night, on the surface, he fired 8 torpedoes, everyone hit. Explosions lit the sky as tankers and freighters burned, escorts spinning in confusion. When the smoke cleared, 4 massive ships were gone. O'Kane wasn't finished. By the end of that patrol, Tang had sunk 10 ships, more than any other submarine on a single mission. Her captain received his second Navy Cross. By September 1944, after 4 patrols, O'Kane had sunk 27 ships totaling over 90,000 tons. He was the most successful submarine commander in U.S. history. His men adored him. His methods, aggression, speed, trust, and endless training became gospel across the Pacific submarine fleet. Yet behind the triumph, he was exhausted. His superiors urged rest, but O'Kane refused. Tang was his ship, and he would lead her one last time. The 5th patrol began in late September 1944. Alone, he rejected the safety of Wolfpack operations. O'Kane took Tang into the deadly Taiwan Strait within days. He attacked and sank multiple ships, culminating on October 23rd with one of the most spectacular assaults of the war. In a single night, Tang fired 8 torpedoes into a convoy. Scoring 8 hits, tankers erupted in fireballs. Destroyers rammed their own ships in the chaos. By dawn, 5 vessels lay sinking. O'Kane had achieved near-perfect destruction. He had 2 torpedoes left. The following night, October 24th, Tang found another convoy hugging the coast. O'Kane prepared to fire his last 2 Mark 18 electric torpedoes. Quiet, invisible, deadly, he stayed surfaced to observe the attack, breaking doctrine that said to dive immediately after firing. One torpedo raced true, the other turned slowly, then sharply, into a wide circle. O'Kane watched, realizing too late what was happening. A circular run. It was coming back. "All engines ahead! Hard right!" he yelled. The crew obeyed instantly. The torpedo closed the distance. 10 seconds. 5. Then impact. The explosion tore through Tang's stern, obliterating the aft compartments. The bridge was thrown into chaos as 9 men, including O'Kane, were hurled into the dark sea. Below, 30 men in the forward torpedo room survived the initial blast. Chief torpedoman William Liebold took command, sealing hatches, organizing the men, and destroying classified material. Trapped at 180 feet, they faced an impossible choice: suffocate or attempt the first real combat use of the Momsen lung escape device. 13 men tried. Only 5 reached the surface alive. O'Kane survived the blast, floating for 8 hours in the cold water. Exhausted and hypothermic, he was captured by a Japanese patrol boat. He and the surviving crew were beaten mercilessly. Revenge for the ships Tang had destroyed. Of 87 men, only 9 lived. They were taken first to the secret Ofuna interrogation camp near Yokohama, an unregistered facility where torture was routine. O'Kane, known to his captors as Number 1 Prisoner, was starved, beaten, and questioned endlessly about U.S. submarine technology. He said nothing beyond name, rank, and serial number. Later, he and the others were transferred to Omori prison camp in Tokyo Bay, notorious for its brutality. There, they met Corporal Mutsuhiro Watanabe, the Bird, a sadistic guard infamous for targeting officers. He singled O'Kane out daily, beating him, starving him, humiliating him in front of others. Yet O'Kane never broke. He'd survived Wahoo, he'd survived Tang, and he would survive this. When Japan finally surrendered in August 1945, O'Kane and his men were liberated, skeletal but alive. The war's most successful submarine commander had endured not only the sea's violence, but humanity's worst cruelty. Tang lay at the bottom of the Taiwan Strait, entombing 78 of America's bravest. In total, O'Kane and his crews aboard Wahoo and Tang had sunk 54 ships, over 160,000 tons of enemy shipping. His tactics reshaped the U.S. submarine force, his courage defined it, and his endurance, even in captivity, became legend. The man who taught his men that victory belonged to the bold had met fate face to face and refused to surrender.